SportBikeTrack.com, and today we're going to install a full set of Hotbodies Race Bodywork on our 2014 Honda CBR1000RR. SportBikeTrack.com Road Racing World Project Bike. This is the standard primer Hotbodies. We've already done that actual in mold color set, right? You saw us install that on an early video. Same idea, but this is the primer stuff, and we had this painted by Chad the Painter, the same guy who does Chris's bikes for Geico Honda. Same cool matte finish, right? We've got upper, lower, tank cover, fender, and the tail. It's already been painted, and we haven't fitted it before it was painted. So this is the maiden fit right here, and just like I always do, I'm just going to drill the holes and start going. Hotbodies has come a long way in the last several years, and their product fits excellent. I would say that bar none, this is the best value in bodywork today. You'll note I'm using a step drill bit, unibit. I find these work the absolute best for fiberglass bodywork. Put everything pretty much dead center. When you do this, you're going to want to go a little larger than the fastener because you want to have a little bit of wiggle room, right? It's going to help with fitting on and off. And honestly, no matter what brand bodywork I'm fitting, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm going to make the holes just a tickle bigger. What I found with race bodywork a lot of times too is after the initial fitting, ride the bike a bit, get the bike out in the sunshine. And once the bodywork's been bolted to the bike for a while, the fit almost seems to even improve just a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty much just dead on center. Got one fastener underneath the tail. Okay, that all lined up perfect. Next, we're going to move on to, okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to mount up the tank cover. How I want to do this is I'm going to begin by drilling these two holes up in the front. They have fasteners right up here in front of the airbox. Then there are two more fasteners back here in the seat pan area. I'm going to do these first. I'm actually going to get it all mounted up and get it in place. And that's going to give me a good reference point for drilling back here. But these have bosses, so we're just going to go ahead and go dead center. Most often, I would recommend that you would actually mount the stuff, fit it before you have it painted. It's really the right way to do it. But our circumstance here dictated that we had it painted first because the painter who did this is in very close proximity to Hotbodies, so it was easier to get the bodywork from Hotbodies to Chad. Okay, got it all fitted up. It actually slid right over the gas cap area. I like that quite a bit. And like I said, I want to get these fasteners in up front here first, and that's going to give me a good reference point for drilling my holes in the back. because they don't really, they have a nice spot to do it, but they don't have a boss mark. So this would be the best way to do that. You don't really need to snug these all the way down or anything, just need to kind of get them in the hole. Let's get everything started here. Over the other side. Right there. Okay, I'll hold that in place, and now I come back here towards the rear and fit this. First thing that needs to happen is it needs to be pushed down so it's flush, like so. Okay, and there's two things that we have to do back here. First thing is I need to locate this fastener and drill it. Second thing is I had created a captured fastener for the seat pan that holds the seat bolts in on the other side of the tank cover. Okay, and I want to make sure that I'm able to reproduce that with this set. So I'm going to do this first, get this fastened in place, then we're going to go ahead and drill the hole for the seat pan bolts. I'm going to lift this up just a little bit and try and get kind of a guide here on that hole. See how this is all lined up everywhere. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, and we're going to reproduce the same deal here on the other side. I'm going to come around the other side of the bike, I think, to get a good look at this. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a rivet and use it as kind of a guide, pass it through into that hole, right, get an idea of how centered I am or I'm not. Okay, I think both of those will work okay. Go ahead now and remove the tank cover. We'll finish drilling those holes, and then we'll be ready to reinstall it, and we'll drill the access holes for those captured seat pan fasteners. Okay, we're ready to actually completely mount up the tank cover now. Here are the captured bolts for the seat. We're going to go ahead and put those in place now. Those are now going to be held in there by the tank cover. Get that lined up here. Tighten this up all the way now. You want to make that snug, but you don't want to take it to the point where you're starting to damage the actual fiberglass itself. All these mounting points, are reinforced, right, to withstand multiple removal and reinstallation of the bodywork, but still, once again, you don't want to get into a situation where you're over torquing these things, because all you're going to do is, in the end, damage the bodywork, and you'll end up having issues when you're taking it out, taking it off and putting it back on. And with a race bike, that's something that you're going to be doing. Sometimes you'll end up doing it because you fell down and you got to fix it. You know, other times it'll just be routine bike maintenance where you need to get the stuff off. Okay, push the bolts out, push the seat in. Tether from my RS Type G airbag suit. So that's out of the way. Oh, right side. This one started now, snug the hose up. Okay, now we're going to fit the upper and the lower together. Once again, I've not test fit on the bike. We're just going to drill the holes, get the fasteners on. We're going to drill the mounting holes right in the center of the bosses, and we're going to go ahead and fit it on the bike. The type of fastener I'm going to use is the drill and rivet style. Okay, it's essentially got a spring steel like backing, right? That will be riveted to the back side of the upper, and then your fastener will lock into it like so. How I like to do this, and how I'm going to do it on this particular kit, is I'm actually going to drill the upper first, and then I'm going to hold the upper and the lower together, and then drill the lower. So I'm going to line this up exactly where I want it. Go ahead and mark it at the point where I need the fastener to pass through. And we'll do the same here. I want to do it right up here, kind of in that curve. It's a little tricky with that curve, but you get a really nice finished result when you do it that way. So, and we're going to mark this one right about here. I want to make sure those are pretty well centered here before we drill. Fortunate today, I've got somebody here to help me. So I've got a second set of hands, and what we're going to do is, after I've got these drilled, I'm going to mark the lower before we drill. These holes I like to make big enough so that the fastener passes through very, very easily. You want to oversize these a little bit. If you don't oversize these a little bit, you will fight the bodywork. It's not worth it. You don't want to do that. So you want to make that a little oversized so that once you've got your backer on there and riveted in place, and you see that I've got plenty of room, I could make it even bigger than that. That it passes through and you've got some wiggle room there, because if you don't, you're just simply going to struggle with it, and it's going to take a whole lot of the fun out of it. So I think that's pretty decent right there. Now I'm going to have my helper come over, hold this. What we want to do is we want to hold it so that we've got a nice line Now I'm going to do the holding, we'll let him do the marking. There's the pen. What I want to do is I want to have a good clean body line, as clean as possible, where the upper and the lower meet. So I'm going to hold them, get them kind of in the most natural point. And once I get there, Josh, I'll tell you to go ahead and go. Okay, I like that right there, yeah. Mark them both as completely as you can. Okay, now we're going to take and we're going to drill from the inside out, obviously. Even though it is black on the inside, you can still see this pretty well. You don't need to oversize these like you did the ones that are on the upper. These need to fit a little tighter because we're going to use plastic washers to help hold these in place once we're done. And now we need to fit our backing place. Got a drill bit, got a rivet gun, got some rivets. And we're going to get this mocked up. And you got the marker button?
Yes, I do.
This is the spot where you want to take your time because remember, like I said earlier, you're going to be taking this bodywork on and off several times throughout its life cycle, especially if you're not throwing the bike down on the ground and destroying your bodywork, and hopefully you're not. So you want to take your time here and you want to make sure that you've got yourself a good, clean fit, because if you don't, you're going to struggle with it forever and you're going to be really pissed at yourself. Okay, switch up drill bits. Okay, so grab holes are drilled. You've got a rivet loaded in the gun. Pass that through the bodywork. That should be good and snug there. That's what you want. And hold it down in place so it rivets down nicely. So, let's get the other side. Pass that through. And that is what the backing plate looks like when it's riveted on. Remember, we also have the slide-on type here. They're definitely easier to work with. I think the rivet style just give you kind of a nicer finished result, so that's why I've decided to go with that. I need to repeat the process I just showed you here 3 more times, and then we'll be ready to get this bodywork over to the motorcycle and begin fitting. Okay, we've got all the deuce fasteners. Those are done. Those are ready to rock and roll. Next up, I want to mount the windscreen to the upper. I also am going to be using the Graves quick disconnect upper fairing mounts. I used it on the other set. I'm going to carry it over to this set, and they are essentially going to take the place of the middle windscreen mounting bolt. So what I want to do here is there are no bosses that are molded into this, so we need to get this lined up. I'm going to line up the windscreen. Once again, I'm going to have a helper mark the holes for me, and we're going to kind of work one side at a time with the windscreen. Is how I'd like to do this to make sure that we've got a good fit here, because this is going to be critical, because this has got some of our fairing mounting points. So I actually like where we've got this quite a bit. And if you want to go ahead, Josh, and start marking from the back side, do the ones over here if you would on my left. Yep. Okay, no, just the ones on the left now. We're going to get those bolted up first, and then we'll move over to the other side. It's pretty critical that these turn out nicely, so just double check what we did here and make sure we've got a good fit. We're going to drill and mount the screen. Okay. Now, how I like to do this is I like to set one side of the windscreen at a time. I find that is the most effective. You line it up with the molded line on the windscreen. So I've done that over here on the right side, okay? And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my helper back over. We're just gonna line this bad boy up like so against the molded line on the windscreen, have them mark the holes, and then I will drill and get the fasteners in place. And you know, you end up with a nice finished product that way. And that looks pretty good right there. I'll go ahead and hit each one. It's always worked out pretty well for me doing it this way. So this is pretty much what I would suggest for anyone. Just, you know, get the one side mounted up completely, nice fit, hold the other side, have a helper if you have access to that. That really makes a big difference. Hold it in place, mark it, drill, and you're gonna need a great finish. All right, windscreen completely bolted up. I've got those quick release fasteners on there from Graves Motorsports. Those are super sweet. And we're just gonna go ahead now and just like we have with every other fastener, I'm going to go dead center and drill the hole. I've got two mounting points that I'm using on the lower, and I'm going to hit those. Once those are done, we're going to be ready to put the upper on the bike. We're going to mock up. I've got a trim for the exhaust. Remember, I've got that full system on here now. Okay, and this is designed to work with the stock exhaust, so it's definitely a different shape. So I'm going to need to relieve that for the exhaust, and we will mock that up on the motorcycle once I get these holes drilled. Okay, all the holes are drilled. We've got the deuce fasteners riveted in. We've got our windscreen on. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to slide the upper onto the bike and see how she fits. Once again, I will reiterate, the right way to do this would be to knock it up, fit it, drill it, do all that stuff before you have it painted. Our circumstances really didn't allow us that luxury, so we got to handle it with care a little bit here, because we definitely do not want to destroy the paint job. But we are fitting this after being painted. And over the last few seasons, I've had some really great experiences with the product from Hotbodies. Done a great job. Fit has come so far. There's the quick release fasteners. In the upper fairing stay, that went right in there as expected. And see if the holes line up, no problem. We're using two fasteners up here. That lined right up. The biggest thing, the biggest hurdle we're going to have to cross as we finish this up is for sure going to be relieving the cutoff for the exhaust system. Definitely going to have to do that. Had to do that last time. Honestly, on the other set of bodywork, I ended up cutting it a little bigger than I really intended to. So, lesson learned there, we're going to trim this one a little tighter. But man, I'm not gonna lie, this is fitting super nice. And there we go, that fastener's in. When we come back, we're going to be holding that lower in place. We're going to try and mark it and begin relieving it so we can get it up on the motorcycle with our M4 exhaust. Okay, I've got the lower fairing all mounted in place. The holes lined up perfect. That was great. The fasteners, got those all tightened up, no problem. And you can see back here, you know, this is what you're going to notice with Hotbodies. You know, we don't have that ultra tight fit back here, but the price is so affordable. It went on really easy. You know, stuff crashes good. It's just, for me, it's a value thing. This fit the same way the other kit did. Honestly, that's a non-issue for me. I'd label myself maybe a little to the, you know, cheap side. I mean, I like to get a good value out of a product. I look at Race Bodywork as almost a disposable product. You know, it's not going to be like a helmet or a suit where I'm going to go more highline. If I'm going to try and trim expenses, I'm going to try and trim it somewhere here where I feel like I can get the same performance and the same value and spend less money. Cutting out the relief for the exhaust canister. The last time I did it, I had the exhaust canister on the bike. I kind of held it up there. I traced from the backside. And honestly, I think I cut more off than I needed to. So this time, I just want to try something different. Took the exhaust can off. That allowed me to fit the gun. I can see on the canister where the strap goes. All right, so I'm going to kind of line it up here with that bracket on the rear set. And I'm going to try and just get a sense for where that may be. And you notice I tape all over. I think I'm going to use the lower of the two actually. I think it makes a little more sense, and then go ahead and straighten that out. Probably never going to make it in art school. I'm okay with that. Now I'm going to use a die grinder here to kind of trim that out. And hopefully I can cut a little straighter than I drew. When we come back, I'll have this relieved and I'll see if we can get the exhaust canister fit in there. You can use a die grinder like this, you could use a coping saw, you could use a Dremel, you could use a Rotozip, a lot of different choices. I'm choosing a little bit better for me this time. I've got it relieved out up in here, the exhaust canister. It looks like we've got plenty of clearance. You know, all I got to do now is just got to get the exhaust strap back on there, finish that up. I will, of course, with some sandpaper, clean up this edge, make it real nice. I'm also going to take a Sharpie, right, and kind of color that up so that we have, you know, a finish that looks good with the mat. So what's left? After I do this, it's the front fender. Just got to drill some holes in the front fender, put the grommets in. The exhaust all in there, trimmed up. I'd have to say I probably did a little better job than I did the first time around. Now we're just left with the fender. I like to use the stock rubber grommets when I mount the fender and the shoulder spacers, stock fasteners. I'm going to do the same thing I did everywhere else. We're just going to drill and go. This matte paint is amazing. Okay. We may need to open these holes up just a little bit to accommodate the grommets. I think we do. We need to go one more step. Okay. All right. When we come back, after I have all the grommets pushed in place and the spacers back in there, we're going to go ahead and mount this up on the front of it. See, I've got all the grommets and spacers in place on the fender. Hopefully it fits. Based on the rest of the experience we've had, I'd say we're in good shape here. You got to distort it a little bit to get it through the forks, like so. Pass through there, get it to come down. Seems like we're doing all right so far. Okay. Fender's one of the toughest pieces to make in fiberglass because there are so many angles in it, right? And it's also such a small little piece. But I know the in-mold stuff, that one turned out real good. Fit real nice, and it looks like this one's going to be pretty good too. Do a little stretch here and towards the back. We had to do that with the red one. But like I said, once you get it on there and you ride it a little bit, you get a couple of heat cycles into it, you know, that really seems to help the bodywork just kind of conform to the bike. Locate the hole, and there we go. Still got to sticker it up, clean it up. A couple little maintenance items to get ready for Daytona. I go down there and do a day ride with Chris Ulrich and the Road Racing World gang. Finish off our season. But for now, this is our Hotbodies Race Bodywork install on our 2014 Honda CBR1000RR STG Road Racing World project.